Do you like cooking with spicy Mexican chorizo, but you don't know how to make it at home? Well, stick around because I'll show you how to make your own homemade chorizo. Whether you grind it yourself or use ground pork, it is far better than the store-bought stuff. If you're going to grind your own, which I think is fun, use either boneless pork ribs or pork shoulder, which is known as pork butt. Either way, just make sure there's a lot of marbling of fat. You'll need that. If you don't have a grinder, use ground pork. I'm using pork shoulder steaks here. First, you'll want to cut them into strips. The easiest way to do this is if it's been frozen for 20 to 30 minutes. Then cut it into about 1-inch cubes. As you're cutting it up, you're going to want to leave most of the fat, but there will be some hard pieces that you won't want to keep. Also, cut off any gristle. Put it in a bowl and stick it either in the refrigerator or even in the freezer for about 20 minutes. The firmer the fat is, the easier it is to grind. Now assemble all your spices. Most things I get already ground from the store, but one thing I think is important to grind yourself is cumin. Place the seeds in a dry skillet and toast them over the stove. Keep tossing until they turn a golden brown. Then grind them in either a mortar and pestle or in a spice grinder, which is a coffee grinder. Set up your grinder and get a large bowl. Go ahead and mix all your spices together now. We'll need them in a few minutes. Be sure to break up any lumps. Before you put your Mexican oregano in, you want to put it in your hand and crunch it up. That releases the oils and also breaks it into smaller pieces for more even distribution. Get your pork out and turn your grinder on low. Put the pork in the feeder tube a few pieces at a time and use the plunger. I think it's so much fun to grind your own meat. Let's just watch for a minute. Okay, enough of that. Now it's time to mix the spices in. First, mix in all the dry spices thoroughly. Make sure every piece of pork has this spice on it. Once it's thoroughly mixed, add the liquids. Don't miss a drop. Keep on mixing. This is about thorough, not about light and fluffy. At this point, if you want to stuff it into casings, have at it. I don't. I just make mine into little patties and then freeze them for use at any time I need it. Speaking of freezing, just wrap each patty individually in plastic wrap and freeze. I put all the patties in a zip-top bag and label it. Now, chorizo is much too seasoned to eat just like breakfast sausage, so crumble it up, cook it, and use it in any recipe you want. I use it to make breakfast burritos or put it in fried potatoes, and I use it in frittatas and egg rolls. So make your own homemade chorizo, and I bet you find 100 ways to use it. See you next time on Kimberly in the Kitchen.